What's up? It's your boy KevOnStage. We are in New Orleans on vacation, and yesterday we did the Love Hour Live Houston, and I have snippets for you today for today's podcast. The unfortunate news is my iPhone died at about an hour, and the first 20 minutes or so was game. So we got about 20-30 minutes of the podcast, but it's gonna end abruptly. And don't worry, I have the full video recording because my good friend Vincent Powell recorded it for us, but we have not synced up on the footage yet. So once I get that, we will have the entire thing. And good news, Love Hour Live may be coming to a city near you. I'm not gonna release the dates until it's set in stone, but just know Houston was not the only one. Thank you guys for your support on the podcast and on the videos and we're also going to be selling the book. Bless you. Soon. Like in the next day or two. It'll be on KevOnStage.com. 25 tips for a healthy marriage. $10 plus shipping and handling. So if you want to buy the book, it'll be for sale. Just give me some time and I'll set it up. Okay? Okay. See y'all next week. Okay, so we are going to get started with the Love Hour. We have, you know what, I'm going to have to keep my phone because the questions are on my phone. We're going to get started. We'll take some questions at the very end. All right, so first we're going to talk a little bit about Love and Respect. Love and Respect is a book written by Emerson Eggers. And Melissa and I read 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they had a lot of good revelations. I'll say, Liz, if you want to speak to the women's part, I'll speak to the men's part.
Hello, welcome.
Hello, welcome. Come on in. You guys have a seat. Nice Jordan's brother. I see you shining in these streets. Okay, go ahead, Liz.
Okay, I'm going to stand up and attempt not to use my hands because
just stand up and be who you are.
No, I don't want to. So
and try not to stop talking because we need to use this for the podcast. So people walk up and say hello, just wave.
So anyway, I was saying that I was looking at our Instagram video, the one we did for Erica Campbell, and I watched myself without the words, and all you see is this. And that is so annoying. Like, I was annoyed at myself because I talk with my hands, so I'm going to attempt not to talk with my hands. We'll see how this goes. Okay, so yeah, I read a book called Love and Respect. Has anybody ever read that book? Show of hands. You have? No one else has read it? OMG. If you are in a relationship, plan to be in a relationship, you should definitely read this book. It is fantastic. It was just really, I love relationship books, and this was just really, as Kevin said, just really, I don't know, it was really, it had a lot of revelations, and he talks about things that were just really kind of new for me. So one of the things that he discusses is this idea of love and respect. And what he says, he being the author, says is that women speak in a language of love. So we speak in a language of feeling. So a lot of times if we feel a certain way, we may in turn say, you don't love me. I laugh because I say that to Kev all the time. I'm like, you don't care about me, you don't like me. And he's like, really? That's what we're going to say? But that's just because for women, that's how we communicate. For men, it's in a language of respect. So you very rarely will hear a man say, you don't love me, but they will say, I feel disrespected, or I feel like you don't respect me. That's how men communicate. And so what he was saying was that in our society, we have this culture of unconditional love, but we don't have a culture of unconditional respect. So if your husband was to ever say, I love you, but you acting a donkey, so today I'm gonna put my love on hold, we would catch all type of attitude. Like, hold on a second. Let's talk about, well, why you think you could just not love me? I don't know how I feel about that. But at the same time, if a man talks about respect, no boo, you gotta earn my respect. And that's real life. So what he says is the same way that we require our spouses to give us unconditional love, we are required to give our husbands unconditional respect. And so, and what that does, he calls it an energizing cycle. So what he says is we get on the crazy cycle in which a man responds in an unloving fashion, then a woman responds in a disrespectful manner, and then he responds unlovingly, and then we just stay on this cycle. I feel unloved, I feel disrespected, and then you just stay on this crazy cycle. And so what he says, in order to get on the energizing cycle, someone has to decide, and we'll say, whoever feels the most spiritual will decide, I'm going to respond lovingly. I'm going to respond respectfully. And that in turn gets you on what he calls the energizing cycle, where I respond respectfully. My respectful response causes him to respond in a loving manner, which in turn makes me want to respond even more respectfully, and then you're on a really good energizing cycle. It was a really, it was a new concept for me. Again, I love relationship books. I've read a lot of relationship books. We used to teach, or kind of teach, marriage enrichment at our church in Washington. So I've read a lot of books. I call myself a pretty well-versed person in this, arena, but this idea of unconditional respect was really new for me. It was very, very, very new. And so what I challenge all of you, especially as women, and specifically sometimes as women of color, to respond or try to respond and be conscious of the way that you respond to your husband, because listen, our words will cut you deep. I mean, we just know how to get you where the getting is good. And so we have to work on not being so quick to respond, watching our tongue, and so we can respond in a respectful manner. Because really, when you respond respectfully, it makes your husband, I was reading another book, and they were saying men have this, I want to go and conquer the world type attitude. And the number one motivating factor behind that is my woman. Do I have my woman behind me? Do I have her support behind me? And if I have that 100%, he's ready to take on the world. But as soon, if he feels like I gotta go out and I gotta combat all of this, and I come home and I got this woman and she acting crazy and she don't respect me and I got this, that, and the other, then he feels defeated all the time. And really the woman and we have a lot of power. We hold the power to either boost them up or hold them down. So it's really a huge responsibility that we hold. So that's the idea of this whole love and respect. Do you have questions that you can ask?
Sure, yeah, questions, absolutely.
That's new, huh? That's deep. It's a challenge. Yeah, it's definitely a challenge. Yes,
how did you become conscious? Because you know, at times when you're in that moment and you're upset, you don't necessarily think, oh, the book said. So how did you?
She just read the book like 3 weeks ago, so let me tell you how disrespectful she was before this.
I think that's an excellent question. In the moment, it's not gonna happen. But what will happen is you have to practice over time. The little things every single day. Once it becomes a habit, when that big moment comes up and you know, listen, sir, you got to put one more thing on you know it's coming. Then you know, okay, God help me, take a moment, regroup, and then you can respond in a respectful manner.
And the question was, we just want to repeat this for everyone who couldn't hear. The question was, what was the question?
In the moment.
In the moment, how do you, what was it?
Keep it, basically, as a woman, how do we keep from starting that disrespect? Because you know, in the moment, you're not.
Oh, yes.
And you're ready to just react.
So the question was, in the moment, as a woman, how do you keep from being disrespectful? And you feel...
I think it's definitely something that you have to cultivate a habit within yourself on a daily basis.
And I think to add to that, just like any habit, it takes practice, right? So you read this book middle of May, you're not going to have it in mid-July. But the more you practice it, the more it becomes second nature. And the thing is, I think one of the things we learned about this book is you're not coming off disrespectful on purpose. It's not like finger snapping, neck twisting, yelling, all that stuff.
Sometimes people like this.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you don't come across as just, I'm here to break you down. But you just are responding out of almost knee-jerk reaction. And you just don't realize how hurtful or disrespectful your words can come across at.
I'm gonna pause you right there. You gotta read this book. It's such a great book. One of the things, and I do this actually, and so I'm working on me. They were saying in the book some of the things that we don't even, like, we know when we're being disrespectful, our hips are moving and our fingers are snapping. But sometimes it's just an everyday thing. For example, in the book they were saying that men have this innate I want to say God-given desire. They have this desire to provide for the family, and it weighs on their mind. Man, is that true? Weighs on your mind all the time. I don't really have that feeling at all. Sorry. But for man, it is. Even if they're very successful, even the most successful man with a bunch of money, they have this desire or even a fear of what if.
Let me pause you and tell you how true this is so the men can know. I have a full-time job. I also make YouTube videos daily that are income. I also do stand-up comedy. I worry about if my job, like if they just decide we don't work here no more while I have a job. We're not even talking about unemployed. We're talking about while I have a good job, while you're a good employee, you're still, what if the house, what if the roof caves in? What if the kid breaks their leg? It's a never-ending cycle of, am I good enough? Am I providing enough? Am I, what if there's another guy? It's just like impending doom almost.
And is that true for you guys? Yeah. I need y'all to talk to me just to make sure.
Yeah, feedback.
Your feedback.
Go ahead. I just wanted to impress upon how
true it is. And I had this conversation with him, but in the book they were saying even if a woman says something as small as, oh, I wish this house was bigger, or oh, I wish I could get my hair done, immediately his mind goes to his level of provision. True, men?
Yes.
What am I doing that can get so you don't have a need? If you want to get your hair done, boo, go get it. I don't want you to have this question. I don't want you to have to worry about it. If you're talking about, oh, I don't have the space in my closet, so I have a problem with clothes and my closet just broke the other day.
How much of a problem is that when the bar breaks? It was wood too, it ain't plastic.
The bar was like, whoop.
She first of all, has all the clothes in our closet, in our room. I had to put my clothes in another whole room. Now she got us filling out to the jacket closet in the living room. It's just never enough. It's never enough.
It is enough. And so I didn't say anything, but I don't know if I said something like, oh, I do wish I had a walk-in closet.
She has that. We came from a walk-in closet. That's what the problem is.
But in his mind, it goes to a level of, how do I provide? I'm not providing enough. How do I make sure that this happens for? And really, we don't mean it in that way. Like, I'm not really directing my comment like, you're not doing enough, you don't make enough, I want you. But for a man, it is interpreted that way. And really, it was just an off-the-cuff remark for us. You know what I mean? And so, again, it's just something to be mindful of. Because I'm quick to say, for example, I wish I had a bigger closet. And I don't recognize the impact that it has on him, even when it's unintentional.
Yeah, for men, a lot of times it's you never want your family, your kids, or anyone to want for anything. And like the kids is different. The kids like, I want a new game. You're just like, forget you, kid. I don't care what you want. But for your wife, that offhand comment, we take that as it's a shot. It's a parting shot without being on purpose. It's almost more of a shot because you're just saying it matter-of-factly and not like you don't provide for me. It's just like, man, what else does she feel like she needs? When the car breaks down and stuff. Like even stuff like, I'm not good at doing nothing about cars. Like if the car breaks down, you got to call the guy who knows about cars. This is not me. But I take it personally because I'm not that guy. Like, man, if I was a real man, would I know how to do this? Would I know how to fix this? So we internalize that. So ladies, just know that if you, because the ladies, a lot of times y'all be on the slick, trying to throw little jabs in there. Like, I don't know. Sometimes y'all do on purpose.
But I think this is one of the things that was really like a revelation for me in the book is, again, we know when we being slick. And you'll own that. Like, I'll own my stuff. Like, you know what? I was kind of being, like, I want you to feel that. But sometimes, you really don't mean it. Like, legit, you just be talking. Anyway, you really are. It's just really an off-the-cuff remark. It really isn't targeted towards you. Before I read this book, I didn't even think I recognized the way it affected you. And that's another thing I think it was really key for me, is sometimes it's just opening your mind to knowing the effect that it has, because you just don't know that. And we're created, so differently. God just designed us so differently that that's just not something that comes across in my mind. I'm a responsible worker. I go to work every day. I'll make sure I got my money on the 1st and the 15th. Let me make sure my paycheck is in. But I don't worry about making sure and providing for my family. It's just not a constant thought for me. Where it is for men, that is a constant thought, and it's really, I just don't think about it like that.
Absolutely, and what I wanted to continue that into is, does that all make sense? What I wanted to continue that into, the same way men want to feel respected, women want to feel loved for, to feel whole, right? So a man, if your wife is, if your wife is making you feel disrespected, she can't say I love you and then act in a disrespectful manner and you feel respected. Most men, they said this in the book, and this is absolutely true. Men, tell me if I'm online with you. They did a survey in this book, and it said, men, would you rather feel loved or respected? And most
Raise your hand, men.
Raise your hand if you'd rather feel loved. Okay, just be honest. Or respected. Raise your hand if you'd rather feel respected over loved. So most men would rather feel respected.
Ask the question to the ladies.
Ladies, would you rather feel respected or loved? Raise your hand for loved. And raise your hand for respected.
It's not everybody, but for women, this is what's so important. Okay, so in the book, when she asked this question, the men were stuck, and they were like, I feel like this is a trick question, because if you respect me, you automatically love me. And for me, it's the exact opposite.
Right.
I feel like if you love me, you'll respect me. That is the difference. Women need love. Men need to feel respected. He even talks about a scripture in Ephesians, and listen. So I love the Lord. I love Jesus. He knows I love him with all my heart. I've been in church my whole life, but don't ask me to go in those scriptures because my memory just ain't that good. But in Ephesians 5-ish, there's a scripture specifically where God calls the women to respect their husbands, and for the man to love their wives. And that was the whole basis for this entire book. And I was like, oh my goodness.
Love your wife as God or Christ of the church.
I don't think it's that scripture.
Is it? It's not?
It's okay. That's why I didn't want to go in that conversation. I just said Ephesians 5.
We're not theologians, guys, okay? We didn't go to seminary class.
I know what I'm talking about. Don't ask me to quote nothing. So anyway, that was the whole basis of this book. And it really is the way God designed us. And once you recognize that, you understand that we're just different. I mean, we really are. God designed us to be different. And together, as a team, you cover everything. He's worried about this, I'm worried about that. He takes care of this, I take care of that. So you really work together as a team, but sometimes those differences, because we're just different, you don't recognize it, and what you don't recognize, you can't identify to solve and resolve. You know what I mean?
And I'll give you a story time to illustrate this point. There was a situation we had about 2 years ago. We had two cars, one very nice car, or not nice, but it was cool. And one car that was like a 96 Civic just broke down, paid off though. Y'all, how many, when it's paid off, you'll drive that mug till the engine falls out the bottom to avoid paying the bill. Like, I'll flip you.
That no car note.
That no car note?
Trying to get permanent residence there.
So our little Civic that I was driving was in no car note land. So oil change, fix that, new brakes, fix that, new alignment, fix that. Because it's so broad. It was like older than my kids, older than, 96. So it was almost 20 years old, 18 years old. And there was a situation one time, the clutch gave out, whole clutch gone, and that was like $3,500 to fix, right? So Melissa was working full time, and I was doing YouTube, so I got my money like that, writing and directing and being on set. So we live in Los Angeles in the Valley, so we don't live we can't ride the bus or the train or anywhere. We got to go somewhere. We got to drive. So the car gave out. I was literally going to the airport, and the clutch just gave out, so it only go 15, 20 miles per hour. So I'm like, man, this car finally did something that if I fix it, it's more than the car's even worth. The car's worth $2,000, $1,800. If I fix it, it's like $4,000. You might as well get a new car. So I told Melissa, look, this car is broken down. We got to get a new car. And we didn't have a full conversation. To me, it was just, look, if I don't get this car fixed, they're gonna call me on set. I had a you're making face about it. We just talked about respect, and you're making face about it. So I'm gonna give my side, you give your side, and you'll see how this love and respect works. So as a man, I'm thinking if she goes to work and I have to be on set on Monday, I can't get to this set, and that's money on the table that I need to pay the rent, and I won't be able to get there if this car's broken down. So we have money, right? We just don't want to buy a new car. We don't want a car note. We'll have two car notes now, which we're not trying to do. So anyway, I tell Melissa we have a haphazard conversation about this. But long story short, the car was broken down for 4 or 5 days. Eventually, I just tell Melissa I'm gonna go get a new car because I got a shoot on Saturday. This is Thursday. So I went to the Honda dealership, got a new car, picked it out, leased it, cool payment, straight, no money down. I'm coming home as the man of the house, we straight. Got the car note, I got it. Don't worry about paying for it. I make enough, I'll pay it myself. However, I'll pay the car note myself. As the man, I just took care of a problem. And you know what I'm saying? I'm expecting like, all right, you know what, boo, you are good. Look at you, just solving stuff. And she was like completely, utterly upset. And I couldn't figure out why she was mad. And so do you want to explain why you're mad?
So we did a podcast not that long ago about submission. And one of the things that I think men should understand, that women, I don't think, and women just nod and agree, nod and wave, okay? I don't think in theory we have a problem with submission. I think the idea of a solution being reached without our input is the problem, or our input being dismissed. So I felt like in this scenario, we didn't talk about this. You can't haphazardly be like, I'm gonna go buy a new car. That's a 5-year commitment, 3-year commitment. Like, I'm in this for 3 years and I didn't even like yay or nay it. Like, what's going on? And so that's honestly, that's how I felt like. I just felt like you can't make those type of decisions without us coming to the table. And women, we're so talkative, I can't have this. So the car's broken down, I think I'm gonna buy a new one. No, let's sit down. Let's lay off the bills. What color you thinking about? What brand? Like, I need to have a full conversation. And so he literally was like, we talked about it. No, we didn't. We did not have this conversation. Like, what conversation?
When I talk about it, we talked about it. Like, that's how I felt. Like, I felt like, as a man, when you are the lead, you feel like, okay, problem is X. Solution is Y, resolved by Z. And I tell you that's us talking about it. Look, we got a car broke, car fixed, problem solved, next thing. So I felt like if she respected me as a man, we wouldn't have a problem. Because she understands we gotta do this. She feels like if I loved her, I would have taken the time to sit down and have a full-blown conversation about it eye to eye and agree, okay, we both agree that the car's broken, right? We both agree.
There's a bit of a disagreement there.
The clutch was out. She wasn't, and we also disagree about this. And I'm like, you wasn't driving on the 405, not going up a hill. Like, the car is broken. You don't want to get in no car, no. You start looking at it like, I mean, you could go to the streets. You could just go to the streets. And I'm not trying to get stuck on my way to a gig and lose money. That's how I'm thinking. If I'm driving to the airport in
It's
the car.
all about that money. My mind was
For providing, though, not just the stunt, but just to provide. That's how my mind works. If this clutch breaks down and I lose and I miss a gig that I got to pay for, then you're like, oh, the car is broken. Yes, like I've been telling you. But see, that's, you see how this whole thing is, my wife has a saying that I love, and it's nothing comes out of a vacuum. So when the car's broken, we don't just see a broken car. We see that it's losing money, it's this, it's blah, blah, blah. So that's all the stuff we're thinking about. And I just say, I'm going to get this car fixed. So in my mind, nothing's going to stop this. So that's kind of how love and respect works. I was legitimately upset that she didn't shake my hand and be like, good job. I respect you so much for being the man and leading us. And she felt like if I loved her, I would sit down and take the time to talk about it. So I admitted that in this situation, I was wrong. Because I should have not haphazardly, it wasn't as comedic as walking by, but it really wasn't much more than that. It was like, this car's broken. I'm about to hit the Tommy dealership. I saw the commercial. They going for the 250. I got it right now. 250 in my pocket. I can hit that every month. That's just one show, 20 shirts. I'm cool. And she's just like, let's talk about this and talk it out. And that's a lot of the point about submission. It's not necessarily, because we did this, we ran into this when we wanted to move to California. The first time, years before we actually moved, I was like, we're moving. This is why. This is what we need. Blah, blah, blah. And she was like, I don't think that's a good plan. And I was like, okay, so you disrespect me as the head. But I learned later in life being like 3 months ago, submitting doesn't just mean as a man we make up all the rules and you listen to them. It means we take the lead, we think it out, but we also take the time to talk about it, hear her side, so that if things go right or wrong, you feel like you're in it together. Because a lot of times as men, our big fear is you hit me with the I told you so. If we mess up, I don't know about you fellas, but the one thing about being the head and the leader is if it goes wrong, people are looking at you, not her. If we go to LA and move and it doesn't work out, they're not going to be like, Melissa messed up. They're going to look at Kev. Kev don't know what he was doing, blah, blah, blah. And that's only, worsening if she feels the same way. And she's like, see, I told you that's why this, that's why that, blah, blah, blah. But that's less likely to happen if we take the time to sit down, talk it out. And the good thing for me, my wife, when I finally listened to her, I was thinking, I'm a dreamer.
That was really bright.
I'm a dreamer, so in my mind, this is going to go right, this is going to go right, this is going to go right, this is going to go right. It's all perfect. In her mind, this is going to go wrong, this is going to go wrong, this is going to go wrong, this is going to go wrong. And what happened was a couple things went right and a couple things went wrong. And she was like, let's look at this move, which is a big deal for our family. If worst case scenario, X, Y, Z, A, B, C doesn't happen, can we still make it? And I'm like, but that ain't gonna happen. Lo and behold, that did happen. So luckily, since we sat down and talked about it, not only did I have her buy-in, but those things that we thought might not happen didn't happen, but we were still good, which wouldn't happen if we would have moved 3 years ago. Does that all make sense?
So, yeah, we went a whole bunch of different places. So I'm going to just recap real briefly for you. You guys got the love and respect thing. I think we solved that really good. If I'm going to do a plug right quick. If you're like me and you do not have time to sit down and flip a book the old-fashioned way, because I feel like I really don't have the time, even though I'm on like Facebook and Instagram like all the time, I really could be reading a book. But if you're like me, you feel like you don't have the time, sign up for audible.com/love hour though. Audible.com/love hour, and you can get a free 30-day trial. And you can get Love and Respect. It's on there, and for women only. Fantastic book. Every woman should read this book. It is so fantastic. I mean, it was just really great. Some of the things that she was saying, it's so funny. You feel things, but you don't always know how to articulate it. Then you read a book or audio listen to a book, and you're like, oh my goodness, that's exactly how I feel. That is this book. It is fantastic. It's for women only. Her name is, the author is Shanti
Feldhahn.
Whatever. Fantastic book. Yes, ma'am.
Do y'all have these, your book recommendations on your website?
We don't.
Okay.
But we can, if you email us, we can email them back to you.
If you follow me on Instagram, I usually post the book that I'm reading also. And I'm thinking about starting a book club. I haven't all the way decided. Did you get me in there?
I did.
I haven't all the way decided, but I'm thinking about starting a book club to kind of recommend books, because I honestly, I believe in, while I love doing this, I love these conversations, I love marriage and relationships, a real true passion of mine, but I'm also striving just to be a better wife at home. You know what I mean? So it's many books that I can read to educate myself, I'm all for it. And if I can help someone else out, it's like my interest meets my passion, and it's perfect for me. So definitely read those books. And I was going to say something else, and I forgot.
I don't know.
Me either. That's okay. Keep going.
Any questions on that before we move on to the next time? Okay, but we'll hear it and then we'll go there.
Oh, okay. So my question is, before me and my husband got married, I was a single mother, and so I'm having the problem of letting go of the leadership role, and so not on purpose do I disrespect him or say, but there are times where it's just like, okay, I got this, let me,
Yep.
and I don't. So it's like the flip opposite.
Right.
I'm like trying to do everything that he should be doing, and so it's been hard trying to let go. Do you have any tips on that?
Absolutely, yeah. First, I want to repeat the question. She said, she's a single mother before she got married, and as a single mom, she just stepped into the duties of both parents, and are both, husband and wife, head of household and mother. And when she got married, it was difficult to relinquish the stuff that she started going out of habit. One of the things that this happens a lot. Me and Melissa are both military brats, and this happens a lot in military families. Real quick, if you take pictures, post them, please do. But the hashtag is Love Our Live Houston, because we want to take pictures. If you tweet us, we want to collect all that and put it on the internet. And so tell people what they missed out on and blah, blah, blah.
And it was 125 of y'all RSVP. This is like 30 of y'all.
Yeah. Houston is a big city, so we're glad you guys came. We can say 30 as a
I'm sorry.
diminutive thing.
I really, if you took that offensively, I apologize.
We are grateful that you all
I'm so
came,
grateful that you're here.
but we just want to let other people know about it. So hashtag Love Our Live Houston. If you tweet, if you have any good quotes, tweetgram, all that stuff, so we can collect it, put it on the website, put it on the YouTube videos, all that type of stuff. So what I was going to say is, we grew up military. My dad actually is still in the military. Melissa's dad retired military, but then got out of the military and went back and worked for the military because he just knows military. But what happens a lot when men get deployed to like Iraq or whatever, or they're TDY a lot and they're gone for a year at a time, come back and are gone, the wives have to step into both roles, and out of sheer habit, when their husband comes back, they're still like, well, I'm the husband, I mean, not a husband, but I'm just doing I'm doing the head of household stuff, not to take over for you, not because I don't respect you, but just because it's almost habit. It's almost a force of nature. So what I would encourage you to do is just pause, take a respite, think about how your actions affect the person that you're married to. And this happens a lot to me out at work or whatever. I'm so quick to just problem in, out. You email me, I give you a response, or I table it to when I need to respond, and I go in, out. What I don't often do is say, here's the thing, not only here's the response, here's the other people who need to know about this. And that's the same thing you have to do in your marriage, is say, okay, here's this thing. Now, is this something just for me? Is it something for my husband and I, or is it something just for my husband? And that may be a decision on the kids, it may be what's for dinner or whatever, but take that pause and then just get in the habit of input information, pause, who is this for? Is it something I usually have to do? Do I absolutely have to do it? Is it something that if I do, my husband may feel like that's something I should have done, that's a decision you should have included me on, and then just do that. A lot of times we feel like stuff is a super emergency, things burning down, but it won't die if it waits an hour or 2 hours or a day or so, but it's just a habit. So as good habits are bad, they're learned. So it takes time to become a good habit. It takes even longer to break bad habits. So sit down and ask your husband, hey, when I do this, how does that affect you? Blah, blah, blah. So take note of that, because a lot of times we're hurtful on accident. We really don't mean it. And our words or our actions, we don't know how they come across. So take that time to say, hey, when I do this, how does that affect you? X, Y, Z. So you take that information and then pause and then just redo that. And then check in with your husband. Is this how you should want me to do this? Blah, blah, blah. I'm sure he will let you know, like, yes, that's perfect. That's wrong. You should do that. Blah, blah, blah. You had something? Okay. And you had a question?
Oh, no, I do. I just want to say something really quick. Definitely recommend reading these books. And then, secondly, I would say, I was thinking about what I was going to say.
You should jot it down when you go.
I should, because
you got bad memory.
I know, I have such a horrible memory. And I was going to say,
That's all right. Y'all pray her strength. Pray her strength.
I'm going to come back to you.
It's going to come back in a second. Just use a notepad and type it down.
I should,
No question.
and I almost did.
Use your phone. It's right here. I want the best for you.
Oh, I know.
See, look at
This
that.
is
See
the
that
other thing I was
encouragement?
gonna
You see how that worked? I spoke that and I birthed that in her. And I pulled it out. I'm going to get myself. Okay, go.
The other thing I was going to say is that, and this is just naturally, we're all good-hearted people. We really are. And we don't mean to not do, I don't mean to step on your toes. I don't mean to be disrespectful. He doesn't mean to be unloving to me. But when I do that, husband, give me the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? So do what he said. All those things are good. But husband, give her the benefit of the doubt that I'm trying. I really am trying. I'm trying to make a really good effort to do better by you. And that will, if I know that you are trying and there is a good effort inside of you and you're naturally a goodwill person, you really don't mean what you're doing even though you're doing what you're doing, then I would give you the benefit of the doubt to work on it and get it right over time. If I don't believe those things about you, then I'm instantly going to get an attitude because I feel like you're doing it on purpose. You know what I mean? So I would say just recognize that I read these books and I love them I'm here talking about, but please do not believe that I got all this down pat, because I don't. One of the things that I'm very aware of, and I try to like overemphasize even in our podcast, because sometimes you look on social media and there's a portrayal of people and you will believe images or create images of people in your mind. So I'm very careful. Don't go home and compare your relationship to what I have.
Yeah, because before somebody posts a picture on Instagram, they delete 7.
Yes.
And we don't realize that. We think the one they posted, man, they look good, blah, blah, blah. They don't realize the first one I took, I forgot to suck my stomach in. So I'm like, oh, delete that. No, that ain't going. But let me get up and turn the light back. I'm cool. But we just see the posted picture. So we think it's all good. But you know, Melissa Harry done, she ain't posting no picture. No, delete that. I ain't in the picture mode. You know what I mean? So if I ain't got no lineup, look, we ain't taking no picture today. Because there ain't no differentiation between my beard and my underneck. Ain't no picture. Ain't no picture. So, but think about that in life. We've been married for a long time, but this process is still learning. Sometimes I feel like we just got married because as you grow and learn, you start changing. Life affects you. You have kids, that affects you. Melissa's parents got divorced. That had a huge impact. So the person I'm married to is the same person in like a different evolution. So you're always continually learning about them and changing with them. And you should always be investing and relearning and rechecking in to make sure that, the stuff that used to work still works.
I would definitely say read for women only. Have you read Love and Respect? Read for women only. They give examples in that book that literally almost brought tears to my eyes. Simply because I was thinking about instances where I could see myself hurting him that way. And I was like, oh my God. I really didn't mean it that way. I can't believe he would have taken it like literally. And that just knowing, because again, sometimes you feel these things, but you don't know how to articulate it. So for her to say, I've surveyed these men, and this is what I got, and this is how you will see yourself and say, I really don't mean to hurt him that way. And it will it'll motivate you to change, to do better.
Okay, your question, we're gonna move on.
I had a question as far as submission, like with single women. Are single women supposed to be practicing submission when they're dating?
Here's what I'll say. The thought process, the question is submission. So should single women be practicing submission while they're dating? And here's my answer. And mind you, we're not experts. These are just our
we've come up with a new term.
Marriage champions.
We are marriage champions.
We're not specialists. We're not experts. We just really believe in marriage and love to help people who want to stay married. The command for submission is for a husband and wife. And it's a husband who's submitting to God, and then a wife submits to her husband who's submitting under God. So it's like I said, military. If you're not a soldier,